Hello everyone, this is Sunny, and I'm coming to you with Sweet Insomnia, a Jeff the Killer X reader by xXDarkQueenXxRei. We're going to be starting off with Nightmare 19, Radiance. It had been about a week since you were in the dark hands of the devil's spawn. Things were calming down, and Jeff started to get back on pace with reality. He didn't care anymore about his memories, probably because he was generating feelings towards you. When? He was standing at the doorway of the bedroom, staring at you with tired eyes. "What's wrong?" you asked. You stared back at him from the couch and lowered the TV volume. He rubbed his eyes once more as he said, "I just can't close my eyes." You shifted a bit on the sofa as he slugged over to it and sat down next to you. He stared out the window at the bright white moon sitting on top of the building next door. "Why not?" you asked. I just can't sleep. I don't want to talk about it. Why, really?" he sighed. "Maybe you could..." You were cut off when Jeff leaned over and put his head on your shoulder. He breathed steadily and tried closing his eyes. "It's hard to sleep alone, you know," he muttered. You watched in awe as he picked his head back up and pressed his lips onto yours. You fluttered your eyes closed and let all feelings of sin escape your mind. All that mattered was that moment, and that moment alone. He pulled away after a second and said, I care about you." You rested your head and replied, I believe that." You both glanced at the bright white moon again and smiled. The tiny dots of light around it sang with beauty and harmony as they contrasted the black hole of space. Nothing could ever eat up the stars. They would forever and always be shining, leading the way towards people's dreams and safe havens. "I'm so glad that you left that syringe there," Jeff said after a minute or so. "I think it would have started a war between us if we took it." You locked your eyes and imagined the syringe that was now sitting in a drawer in the kitchen of the hotel room. "Yeah," you lied. "That would have been trouble." When you looked back out at the stars, they started to disappear. One by one, you were unable to see them. Even the bright white moon was slowly being chipped away by the dark clouds rolling in. "Do you want me to sleep with you tonight?" you asked. "Yeah," Jeff said. That would be nice." He stood up and took your hand as he walked into the bedroom. You watched him move away the covers and slip them without hesitation, and he snuggled into the blankets and smiled. The clouds went away. "I didn't think I would make it through this," Jeff said as he gazed deeply into your eyes. "I didn't think I would still be alive at this point in time," you replied. The bright white moon smiled back at you as the last pieces of it disappeared forever. You had dreams that night of remorse and catastrophic events. You woke up in the morning to find yourself in Jeff's arms. You moved slightly, causing him to bolt his eyes open and jump. He looked at you and let out a breath. Are you okay?" you asked. "You scared me," he said. "I'm sorry," you muttered. I think you got really jumpy." "Well, what do you do if everything's been out to get you?" he asked. You sighed and moved away the covers. The sun from the window was being blocked by the shades connected to the top of the frame. So you moved them away and looked at the distant, busy road that was a couple stories below your height. The whole situation you were in was complex. It still didn't seem over. You figured that you were forgetting about a very important detail, and what was holding you back? Why couldn't you rest in peace? Why did you still want to jump out the window? "Lion," Jeff called, snapping you back into the truth. "Did you hear that?" "Huh?" you puffed, turning around and cocking your head at his deranged expression. "I think there was a knock on the door," he said. You slowly walked through the frame of the bedroom and gazed at the hotel room's door. It was wide open. You stepped back into the bedroom and shut the door quietly. You held your finger to your mouth and looked at Jeff. What's wrong?" he asked as he stood up behind you. "Someone broke in," you peeped. Jeff grabbed your hand immediately and pulled you back. He motioned for you to stand in the corner and you obeyed. You watched as he popped the metal rod off the top of the closet shelf, much like he had in Paris. He narrowed in the distance between the door and reached for the handle. He opened it mechanically and looked out. You followed as he creeped into the kitchen. You looked around at the vacant area. There was absolutely no one there. You heard a noise come from your right, so you snapped your head to the side, surprised to see nothing. The only thing there was the worn-out pastel wallpaper plastered to the wall. "I told you I'd be back." Jeff wrapped his arms around you as you both spun to see a familiar face. Black dress, black hair, black eyes, black soul. "Who dies first?" the girl asked. Nightmare 20. Recoil. Jane's little sister stared back at you with a large smirk on her face. She narrowed her eyes at Jeff's pathetic attempt to block you from whatever pain you might endure. It was almost instinct for him. Listen, Jeff started. I have no idea who you are. I lost all my memories, and I don't understand why you're attacking us. Blair glared at Jeff and pulled out a throwing knife from behind her back. She twirled it around, and he stared helpless at the blade. It wrapped around her fingers just like the red string of fate. Well, I still remember what you did to my big sister, and you're going to pay. She recoiled. She threw the knife, and you flinched. Jeff cried out as it plunged into the hand that was guarding your heart. He grabbed at his wrist and tried to pull out the object that was causing his agony to live on. The girl started to creep towards you, but you were frozen. You were shackled by the chains of fear once again, but your scorching desire to break free still wasn't enough. Your soul tried to pound its way out. Bang, bang, bang. It was desperately trying to leave your icy body, but there was no exit. You couldn't take the easy way out again. Blair smiled as she held up another knife to your face and taunted you with laughter. Why can't you move? She asked. You gulped and tried to make a motion or do something of the sort, but absolutely nothing was allowing a muscle to work properly. You couldn't get away from her stupid aspiration. Before she could do anything to you, Jeff used his good hand to throw the other knife at her. She tumbled to the right of it, but it still suffered a tremendous injury. The blade flew like an arrow through her nose and chipped away lots of tiny pieces from her face. The mask she had previously been wearing cracked and left a hole near her eye, exposing the sin she had fought so hard to keep hidden. She screamed in pain and let out something similar to a growl. She reached up to her tainted skin and pulled the dagger out slowly, causing the blood to slowly trickle down her cheek and create a line of continuity between the blade and the cut. Jeff hopped over to you and guarded your figure again. He let out some sort of energy that felt angered. You could sense the type of knightly instinct coming from his body. He used the last bit of his protective shield to state, "If you don't leave now, I won't hesitate to do whatever it takes to protect this girl." Blair made an annoyed sound and declared, "You won't be around that much longer. Revenge is stronger than love." You finally squeaked out some sort of noise and let your voice run free. You tried to reason with the enemy, but no one was able to hear what you were saying. Your cries were only in your head once again. "Revenge is something I have too," Jeff yelled. "On who? Who is he mad at, Smiley?" "Just stop," you cried out. The whole room went silent as your words echoed. You stood in Jeff's arms, just churning the whole ordeal. You stared into Blair's eyes with a pleading look on your face. You explored her feelings at the window to her soul and were surprised to see a bit of remorse. Her eyes dropped for a moment as she lowered the knife. Before you let out a relief, she lit up again and scowled. "I'm going to kill you," she mumbled. "I'm never going to stop coming back. If you stop me now, I'll only come back later." Jeff ducked his head and looked down at your eyes that sent you up at him. "I guess we'll see you later then," he said. And with that, Blair was gone. You immediately ran to the other room and grabbed a small towel from the rod, and you dashed back over to Jeff and reached for his hand. "No, Wyan, I'm fine," he declared. You shook your head as he forcefully took his wrist and started to wrap the towel around his injury. "I'm not going to let you walk outside bleeding from a hole in your hand," you said. Jeff made you look into his eyes and asked, "Why?" You perched down on your knees as he looked between your eyes. "Why, Wyan? Why do you care?" he asked again. You let go of his wrist when he pulled away. "Because," you started. I can't figure out what's going on anymore. Life is too confusing." He moved a portion of your hair away from your face and rested his forehead on yours. "I don't get it," he said. He started to sound like he was upset, and he gritted his teeth and followed your jawline with his hand to the back of your head. You don't get what?" you asked. "I don't know why you feel that way," he muttered. "I don't remember why." You thought you saw a tear escape his closed eyes, and he put his other hand around your head and placed his chin on the top of your skull. "Please, tell me why," he cried. "Tell me why you love me." Tell me why I love you," he restated. You closed your mouth and felt extreme pity. You felt so bad for him, and didn't even understand his own feelings. You thought back to when you were like that. You would give anything to get rid of that feeling. "Listen," you started. "I'm really, really confused about the past, but I've dealt with it in ways that I shouldn't have." The boy sitting in front of you stared into your eyes with the most sorrowful, longing expression you had ever seen. His eyes spoke 1,000 words. They lit up with love and confusion and so many other indescribable things that made you want to care for him forever. He was begging for an answer, some kind of acknowledgement, and that he wasn't insane, that he didn't have to know everything to be great. You weren't able to give that to him. Do we need to leave again? You questioned, avoiding the subject completely. Jeff moved his head away from yours and gazed into your eyes. He was obviously even more upset that you weren't able to give an answer to his question. Giving up, he replied, yeah. The red string was turning black, and there was no going back. You walked out of the hotel hand in hand. Your slow steps lasted 1,000 years. It took 1,000,000 more to reach the exit of the hotel. Jeff's fingers brushed yours as you silently told him about your worries. He smiled a fake smile down at you and slowly opened the door. He laced his arm around you and walked down the sidewalk with ease. Everyone else on the street gave you glances of satisfaction and happiness as they walked in the opposite direction with their umbrellas raised. They zoomed by like wind in a sunny forest. The rain hit your head like bullets. It felt like little needles were poking into your skull and shoulders, grinding back and forth on your soul. It's funny because it wasn't raining yet. There were only dark clouds forming. That is the end of those chapters. The chapter after that one is Nightmare 21 Republic. Let me know how you guys felt about that, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until next time, bye-bye.